let's take a look at your third question, and it has to do with the wide receiving situation. Assuming Beckham and Landry are healthy, and that's the tough assumption here, and assuming they'll get the whole season in. Right now, if you lined up everybody and you said who's the third receiver, you would probably say Kareem Hunt. That shouldn't be part. He does a lot of things. That probably should not be one of them.
See, and I kind of feel like maybe that's just how we should talk about Kareem Hunt. Obviously, he is a running back, but he's sort of a do-everything type of player. You already have Nick Chubb, who's going to need a lot of carries. You can see on the graphic there, Kareem Hunt was the third leading receiver in yardage in just 8 games. So this is a guy that can do that sort of thing. Now, you'd like to have somebody on your roster that is actually a wide receiver by trade and can play that position, but if you're going to have multiple tight ends on the field, and Nick Chubb and a fullback, you start to run out of spots to put a third wide receiver. So, maybe that's sort of how we need to start talking about Kareem Hunt a little bit.
I think the Browns at the owners' meeting should have campaigned a little bit to get a second ball on the field. So you got enough guys to spread it around.
Yeah, they've got lots of guys that they're going to try and get it to. Or if it were up to Kevin Stefanski, you get 2 extra spots for tight ends, right. Something like that.
All right. But this doesn't even include injuries, and you're dealing with an injury potential if you've got Landry, although Landry had been healthy for the most part in his career, but at Beckham and Landry. So we're assuming just by this thing about Kareem Hunt as the third wide receiver, that's assuming everybody stays healthy, and that's not a good assumption.
Yeah, that's never a good assumption. And now we're starting to see Jarvis Landry and Odell Beckham, who both had surgeries. This is really kind of the first time Jarvis Landry has had to go through something like this. He's played a lot of snaps. He plays very physical. His brand of football, he's still young and he's still got mileage left, but his brand of football does lend itself to maybe that body starting to break down. That's something to keep an eye on as he nears 30 years old here coming up. This is a guy who has played a lot, plays tough, plays physical, doesn't back down from any of that. And this is football. Guys get hurt. Even the most healthy guys sometimes get hurt.
Sure. When you talk about Kareem Hunt as a wide receiver, when you speculate how that's going to look, do you see him as a slot guy, or do you see him as a guy who actually lines up as a wide receiver?
The thing that really stood out to me last year when he was in training camp, and then when the Browns were finally able to use him in the second half, is he could do both. And he did both in Kansas City, too. He can line up in the slot, but you can put him out wide. And if you get the right matchup, if a linebacker has to follow him out there, he can do some things from that position. So that's why I think, first of all, he's just a better player than Duke Johnson was, but I think he even offers more versatility than Duke Johnson did when he was here, because he can literally play all over the field and be effective at it.
Are there any guys on the roster or practice squad that you foresee maybe stepping in at one of the wide receiver spots? Or will that be addressed in the draft?
You could try to address it late in the draft, but I think, I guess one name to keep an eye on would be a guy like Khadarel-Hodge, who's mostly a special teamer, but he got some time at receiver last year, and he made a couple plays and a couple catches. He's maybe a guy to keep an eye on. That's one name on the roster, and we'll kind of see if they look into some of these second-level free agents, second or third-tier free agents to fill that spot too.